What is going on, Smite fans? It has been so long since we've sat here in front of the big tier list board. I'm joined by CaptainTwig, the jungler of the Camelot Kings, and I'm pretty sure we both had a moment of deja vu. We've made this tier list before, but it's a new patch, there's new things, and let's just get started. We did have already the Assassins and the Warriors are already just, everything, let me say that every other class besides the Assassins and the Warriors are grayed out to make this easier on us. Let's start with just the Assassins though, because I think that'll be better, so let's just do one of those. And we'll start with Arachne. Where do you think Arachne belongs in the current meta? Remember, this is not competitive, this is ranked specifically.
Ranked specifically, she's trash now. You don't want to be building Golden Blade anymore. The game is different from last time we did
see, this is what I'm talking about. Golden Blade is old news now, so you're saying Arachne.
Golden Blade is old, it's nerfed, it's bad compared to your Crusher, your other mace items. So she is like E right now.
E,
of all the
I love
assassins
that.
in the
We
game,
hate Arachne.
she is absolute
no
trash.
good.
You don't
Okay,
really
so
play
another
her.
pick that I don't see too much of in my games, the Awelix. Do you think Awelix has just counter pick potential, or can you pick her in any comp, or is she just not good?
She's got two things going. You can counter pick, but you can also create a comp to make her work.
Okay.
So you can either choose, if the enemy team doesn't have many jumps, you can just make your own knockups from your team or your own Suku, or the med. So, but she got recent buffs. I honestly think she's closer to B, maybe even A, but I'd put her in B because she uses all the maces perfectly. She's just a high power, high damage god, and her ult is super low cooldown now. I think it goes down to like 60.
So like you can build red items at the moment. You're looking pretty decent in the jungle.
Just go to the mace tree and just slam it.
All right,
you know?
so one pick that doesn't build red items would be that Bakasura I'm looking at. Sort of vibe with the Golden Blade, but I imagine a little bit better than Arachne. What do you think?
I'd put him just a little bit ahead of Arachne
Just a D.
Because he's another Golden Blade abuser, but he is a bit of a ranked monster. No pun intended. He just he kind of just runs it down, and he's really easy to play, which is good for me. So
you just you just W key, get quick farm. Not like Arachne though. A little bit better.
Yeah.
You can snowball some games.
I'd say he's as easy as Arachne, but better.
Okay.
For sure.
That's pretty much what you would want there then. What about Bastet? I think kind of falls into this play where you were saying that Awelix, builds red items. Bastet builds red items.
She also builds red items. She's kind of the opposite of Awelix, where she's been the sufferer of many nerfs.
You're right.
Her ult is like super high. It's over 100 seconds. So until you've got that Jotuns, you're ganking once every couple minutes. After your Jotuns, it's not good, not at all. And you don't need Blink as much, but she's not like a really punishing ganker without her ult. So I'd actually put her down at C. She's kind of a weak character overall. Her 2 doesn't do a lot of damage anymore. She does use maces, which is good.
I tried to play her in solo, and she doesn't hit the same anymore. I think she's really fallen off. Feeling the nerfs for sure. Camazot's a flavor of the monk pick that I haven't seen in many months. Is Camazot still sick or not quite?
People playing him a little bit more with the new mace items, also just Transcendence being good now. I don't think he's anything to write home about. He also just has very cringe weak CC. So he's like kind of a more damage Bastet with no ult. Well, he's got a great ult, but no setup.
CC,
no setup. So I'd put him down with Bastet in C. Just being you have to really be an expert of the character to make him work. Yeah,
you have to be landing every 2, because that's pretty much your chase down at that point.
Or even more so than maybe Thanatos ones.
Wow.
It's so important that you hit that.
All right, so let's talk about Cleanout, another one of those solo lane style assassins that still, was pretty strong, got some nerfs, and haven't seen her in the jungle much at all. Do you think Cleanout still has some viability?
She might have gone from S to like B or C.
That's
I think
9.5.
Everyone got more HP to live the Cleo abilities.
Yep.
They've nerfed Soli to now, and you could build it in the jungle, also solo, and she's just received nerfs in every single skill, I think. Maybe a 3. So I'd put her down at C as well. She's just a victim. There's a lot of C characters here. She's just a victim of many nerfs. She does use maces, but I'd just advise many other characters first.
Right, and so now we finally get to a character that I've seen plenty of competitive play. You can, honestly, the Palau is a great ability, but you can just go damage with our kid and not even use the ult, and you still have crazy bursts. How's Daji looking right now?
Maybe it's different in competitive. For winning your ranked games, I actually don't like her very much.
Okay.
She doesn't have the best 1v1s. She does use maces. She uses Transcendence and the Titanbane build fine. Bumbers has been nerfed a lot.
That's
so
true.
For winning your ranked games, I actually wouldn't hard recommend her. I'd put her around B.
Okay.
Where you can get, if you're a good Daji player, you can be very hard to beat, but she's not really the type of carry kind of god you want.
Okay, so if you're trying to run the queues, you're not insta-locking that Daji. What about Fenrir? Has some good early game, brings that same sort of pressure. Is he looking solid right now? I'm noticing a trend here.
Well, we haven't got to the good juicy
not
bits.
yet.
Yeah, Fenrir, I'd say he's got a bit more carry potential than Daji,
Okay.
but he's also kind of weaker overall than Daji. He can use Crusher, not really a mace character, not really a Golden Blade character either. I'm not really sure what the build is, maybe Jotun's with him. But he can carry. If you get a little bit ahead, you can carry with his 2. So I'd put him in B, where he can carry, but he's not a particularly strong character overall.
Okay, let's talk, since we were talking about the long cooldowns, Hunbat's ult has been a victim of the nerfs, and then
For sure, and then the victim of the buffs.
Back and forth, so where's Hunbat sit right now?
Right now, I think with recent mace buffs, plus I think they buffed his 2 to be knock-up immune.
Yeah, that is actually pretty big.
I'd put him up to A.
Oh, wow.
You can be pretty much at any level of ranked. I would put him, he gets his damage off really easily. It's really easy to hit, and you can't really do wrong with the Fear No Evil. Whereas you can just miss a Bastet ult. It's difficult to miss the Hunbat ult and get value. So
I've seen it done, but it is very difficult to miss
I'd put him
ability.
up as a character, and he never loses the longer the game goes. He's just happy to be there at level 20. So I'd definitely put him at A tier.
Okay, speaking of level 20 gods, Kali seems to be up next. Slow early game, not the worst. You know, I've seen worse early games. Honestly, everyone talks about how Kali gets online late, but her ganks aren't bad.
Agreed. It's almost a misconception. I kind of think it can be the other way around. When teams group up as 5, level 20, supports get their Compassions and their Sentinels online, it can be harder to dive then with all your items online, even if you've got Kins and your other items. It can be harder as the game goes on with Kali.
Yeah, for sure.
But for the reason that I think she's very strong early game, and you can go Crusher and kind of one-shot put someone at half HP with a good combo of your stun and your 2. I'd put her up at A in ranked. She's kind of what you want. She does a lot of damage, and she's not really that weak at any point in the game.
All right, so Kali, you know, pick your target, look for some early ganks. If you get online, you should be able to snowball. Just watch out for those. You don't want to be the first one blink into the backline. When they have CC up, it's kind of hard to get your targets
patience
off.
will be rewarded.
All right, well, Lancelot, I got to be honest with you, I have no clue where to put Lancelot because he was sort of first pick, first ban style for rank for a bit. Now he sneaks his way through. Do you still think there's some value in the Lance pick?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most recent nerf, they just took 10 damage off his 1 and 2, and that put him in the ground, I think, at least conception-wise, and maybe maybe he just like takes 1 extra auto to kill sides of everything, or takes 1 extra auto to kill anyone, and that's just like really hurt him, because before I might have put him in S, but now I think he's just a happy B tier character. He uses maces really well, Crusher, Brawlers, and he just gets in there, and he's hard to punish with his horse plus ult. He's really hard to catch. So, you know, happy B, but I don't think he's as dominant as he was before.
Yeah, certainly still a far drop from S to B. Now that seems to be like Loki. Again, used to be one of those picks that dominated ranks specifically because you could always win the 1v1. You would just find the enemy jungler,
For sure.
kill them, take their backs. Is that still the style of play you'd go for?
Yeah, I almost want to put him higher than B, but after a little think, I think he is at B, where he can kind of win 1v1s, but his real strength is farming quickly. He does that super quick because his 2 and his 3 both kind of just make you one-shot camps.
Right.
With the 2, you just backstab everything, and with the 3, you just one-shot a camp. So he farms really quick, and then his gank can be really good if you stealth over wards. But he's no hyper carry. If peeling really hurts, like a compassion support, it's hard to dive against as Loki.
Would you say if this was old Bumbus Hammer, he'd be A tier? Because
For
Bumbus
sure.
did take that nerf.
The pre-3 Bumbus Hammer nerfs or 3 Bumbus Hammer changes, I'd have said maybe S or A, but not now.
Okay.
Not
Would you
right
even
now.
build Bumbus Hammer on Loki now?
No, well, I think you can go either I or... Actually, you can. He's one of the few characters in the game you can go all three. If you get that mannequins to level 20, it's maybe the strongest of the upgrades.
Hidden blade, right.
Because your 2 will proc the hidden blade. So that's kind of a unique thing he can do, is get all 3 of the starters.
Okay, interesting point. Now, Mercury is hit or miss for me, right? Because you see Mercs, hard carry games, they get their rage stacked in 5 minutes, and then there's untouchable, and then you see the Mercs that miss their ult, and you're like, why are you even in my queues?
Yep.
Is that the same sort of vibe you're going for?
Yeah, his strong point is his lane ganks with his ultimate.
Right.
No other character in the game, not even Thor or Rat, can really do that. Because Thor or Rat, you can get wards up around Gold Fury. You have to go between a tower to get wards up for Mercury. Sadly, it's 100 seconds ult, so if the first, let's say 2 Merc ults don't connect, you are not looking good. You probably won't stack your rage, and you're going to get one shot by a full pen assassin because you don't go defense on Merc. So he's kind of like, if you're not adapting or some pro-esque player that really knows what you're doing, I really wouldn't recommend Mercury. He's fast around the jungle, but if you miss a couple ults in important moments, especially team fights, he is useless. So I'd even put him down at C, where you have to be kind of an expert to make the character look very good.
Yeah, I think as long as you're not just taking this tier list at face value and you're actually listening to Twig has to say here, Merc can be played super well, but if you miss 1 or 2 abilities late game, you're just useless. There's no way you can get to that back line.
Yep.
I've heard a lot of rumblings, now we're done with Mercury now, about this next character here. Is Naja back? Is Naja back in a big way, or is this all just propaganda?
Back.
Are you for real?
He is definitely back.
Okay,
yeah,
take it away.
I think he was slightly underrated before, but I think a huge change is that you can miss your ult, or you can barrel snuff ult a carry, and they can just beads it, and you won't instantly die. You can build full damage, or you can build mostly damage, you get the protections from your ult, and you're suddenly, instead of lasting 2 seconds to die, you'll last 5, and maybe you'll get another ring toss, maybe you'll get another sash off, and suddenly you're buying a lot of time and you're doing a lot for your team, whereas before you would have just got crit for 600 twice after ADC beads your ult. And I've yet to try him too much in ranked right now, but I think he's back. I think he's an A-tier assassin.
Wow, love that.
If you know what you're doing with him.
Of course.
But a little bit of practice and you will be just hitting every sash.
And are you going full damage, or are you going this sort of Transcendence Glad Shield Manticore spikes build? Or can you go either?
You can go both depending on the game. I'd actually recommend kind of a mostly damage and then throw in like a Spirit Robe, a Magi's, or a Cad Shield.
Like a
somewhere in the
situational
build.
tank hybrid item.
Yeah, situational hybrid item / just tank item. Whatever's going to keep you alive the most out of those 3 items in your Transcendence, Crusher, maybe Jotun's Wrath builds that just have a lot of damage.
All right, sounds good. Nemesis, though, this has been one of the more popular jungle bans, in my opinion, that and like the Ratatoskr, which we'll get to. Is Nem still running the jungle, you think? Or because honestly, she doesn't use the Golden Blade build anymore, and she's still just fine. She can go Crusher as well. Do you think she's that good or not?
She's one of those characters you can build anything that's in recommended, anything in the damage. You can, if you want to go crit, that's fine. You can go Kins. You can go for auto attack builds. You can go for pen builds. You can't really build tank builds, but you don't need to because she steals protections. She's got a 3. So I think she's an S tier jungler. I don't even know how you go about changing her without maybe nerfing her unique passive, because that's kind of the reason she wins every 1v1 is she goes plus minus something like 20% power after 3 autos, which is like unbeatable for most characters in the jungle and most characters in the game, actually.
Yeah, I know her ult got nerfed, but I still haven't noticed the changes in game. Whenever I see a Nem, I still feel like we get wrecked. So
you still get run down.
Nem still pretty high up there. Pele, though, has actually been pretty solid for me in the queues. I'm not going to say best like competitive jungler, but she got some good early game. You liking the Pele right now?
She is a ranked monster.
Oh, yeah.
I'd put her right next to Nemesis. She actually does kind of the same thing. She doesn't shred, and she's not as safe, but she's almost higher payoff with her lifesteal, plus like her 3 around the jungle. She's quick, and she will outrun you. And once she gets ahead, it's almost impossible to live. She'll go through your backline a lot faster than Nem will, but she obviously has more tank problems with getting past them. But she is at the point where she can snowball so hard that I'd put her in S. She is fundamentally busted in ranked.
All right, so we've got 2 back-to-back S tiers. Now let's talk about Rat. Rat also crazy early gangs. I feel like you're still only going like the stun acorn, at least that's what I've seen. I saw a bit of crit for like a week and then everyone threw it out.
You can get sniped by a little Crititoska.
Yeah.
If you can, I think there's a build going around where you have 95 or maybe 100% pen. And the aim is to play dual 1v1 in the Conquest map against your jungle opponent who hopefully doesn't have Aegis.
Right.
Because if you just blink on them and have full crit Deathbringer, you'll one-shot them quicker than they'll one-shot you. So I'd say but you can go the stun acorn, which is the norm.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'd say he's a very comfortable A character. He kind of is everywhere. He's got a long ult cooldown. But he's also easy to kill, I think. His dash gets stopped a lot of the time, and his ult's not a good escape. So he's kind of not quite a S tier, even though he's very strong and can be mobile.
Well, still A. Looking at the list puts you above the rest, so we're going to take that one. Rob is actually a pick I've been seeing a fair bit as well. Used to be just like a counter pick to these burst mages you can immune with your overhead kick, but still got some decent matchups. What do you think about Rob?
I think he's gained a lot from the recent Mace buffs. He's one of those characters that needs to 100-0 a carry, because if a carry doesn't get 100-0, they just kill him because he doesn't have any way of escaping. Because his 2 is more of an aggressive ability than a defensive ability. You can 2 an ability, but you want to be 2ing in while you're 2ing that ability. You don't want to be 2ing and running away from a hunter that's autoing you. So maybe the Crusher 5 power, Brawler's 5 power, it makes that difference between one-shotting a carry and them surviving 1 HP and killing him. So I'd put him up at B. He is much improved, but he still has a few things left to be desired, I'd say.
Okay, so we're on a different style of jungle now into the Cirquette. She's been bouncing around a lot between support and stuff, but I think now she's sort of cemented herself as, you're building full damage and trying to one-shot. Do you think there's any value in the Cirquette pick? Her early damage is fine. She's got CC.
The build in ranked I see, and I think why she might be a bit higher than she was before, is the Manticore plus Glad's build with Transcendence first or Jotuns first. That's a lot of cooldown, and the tankiness from those items are just perfect for a god like Cirquette. That she needs to get kind of multiple rounds of her Deathbane off, her one, to have like a ton of value. Because if the first time she goes in, she's going to get relics. The second time she goes in, that's when she's going to kill people. So with the tank items that are going around in the game, I think she's maybe the best jungle that goes Manticores in the game.
Hybrid style, right?
And goes hybrid. So I think she's like a close to A, B tier character.
All right, it's like a B plus for Cirquette.
Yeah, where she's no hyper carry, but I almost feel like if your teammates are like as good or better than you, then she's kind of a perfect character. She's
great for setting up your team. You're not going to be looking that good, but you'll make your team look good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now Set. I honestly have nowhere to go with this. I saw Final K play it a bit in like our Leviathan's Invitational, like the sort of hybrid style Set build. Is there any reason to go full damage Set, you think?
Absolutely. I kind of think he's a monster.
Okay.
If there are any victims of the auto speed rank queue out there, you've got to be saying that this character is fundamentally broken. And that's why I'm going to put him in A.
Okay.
Just off the S tier, because honestly, his 1v1s are kind of nuts. His 3 kind of just puts him over, but also just his ult. If you only have 40% anti-heal for his ult, then he usually just like nom-noms you away in the middle of the jungle. Yeah, Brawlers alone won't make you win a 1v1 against him. So he wins 1v1s, he has good ganks. He doesn't rely on Blink to kill people. You can just 3 in. So he is a bit of a monster, honestly.
Yeah, I used to think Set was like the best god in the game when he was like first pick, first ban, but I haven't seen him in a while. But I guess if you're still good with him, he can still work. Another style of jungle that I think plays similarly is if you can make him work, he's good. Susano, he can blink in, destroy your backline, but also you can just kind of kill him if he just doesn't have his beads up. You feeling the same way?
Yeah, he's kind of one of those characters, maybe one of the most unique junglers in the entire game, that he can 100-0 you through an Aegis, which is
annoying.
unique to almost any assassin in the entire game. Maybe Nemesis is up there with him. He can also, He's also just received a couple buffs to his 2 and I think 3 scaling. I don't remember. Oh, no, just his ultimate. But I think he's super powerful, and you'll see him a lot in your ranked games. He's very popular. You'll see him a lot in your casual games. I'd say he's a comfortable A. He's borderline S tier, because I think he gets ahead very easily. It's just staying ahead with no CC immunity in your kit that can be tricky.
When he's kissed Afro, surely he's S.
When he's kissed Afro, he's an S, maybe the best.
Okay, maybe the top tier there. You were talking a little bit earlier about the Thanatos. You got to hit every scythe to make sure it works. You think Thanatos is a little bit better than the counterpart Camazotz?
The way to punch through that hitting every side thing is to rush people and 3 them first, and then barrel stuff the 1. Your Thanatos 1-hit rate and overall win rate with Thanatos will go up a lot more if you stop trying to be fancy and you just go up and slide your frisbee into their heart. Because I think he's a lot stronger with the Titan's Bane buff specifically. Puts your scythe at 40% instantly with no other pen items. So I think he's a safe B. You will have games where you just go 0-9 and just do nothing.
Of course.
And then you'll have the games where you just hard carry, get maybe Bloodforge procs off executing people, or just have so much damage that you can put them in execute range off one global use of your 1, 2, 3. So he's a happy B. He can carry games and he can lose the game for his team.
Yeah, I think that's what the B tier is for, right? You can pop off or you could do nothing. These ones, like even if you're behind, you can help out your team, and then of course you always want S tiers on your team.
Absolutely.
Speaking of those globals, Thor is. I still want him to be good. I think all junglers want him to be good. Do you think he's good yet, or still not yet?
Maybe as the least good Thor player in the entire league, I want him to be good. But he's not. And for perception, he's E. He's
not even better than Baka.
You are dooming your team. I'd rather see these off-tier, off-meta Anubis jungles or something like that than a Thor on my team. This guy is going to ultimate. He's going to miss. He's going to try to hammer combo. They're going to beads it and kill him while he's just used his escape to do damage. He's absolutely tragic. High res, please buff him. He has a thing going where you can get 5 or 6 damage items with Crusher, Heartseeker, and he can one-shot eventually from range with no blink, which is a cool gimmick, but he's just so inconsistent that you could be playing any other character in the whole tier list and you can consistently get off more damage. Yeah,
I gotta tell you, I was streaming on Smite game over our off time at one point. I was playing ranked. It was one of those situations where the enemy jungler ganks, they kill your solo laner, and they're like, help, help, help. So I'm gonna Thor ult over there. I Thor ulted over, missed my ult, missed my hammer, died, and I was like, I'm never playing Thor again. I feel like that happens more often than not. And I feel like I'm decent at Thor. I still just wasn't enough. And I feel like that's why Thor, unfortunately, is going to be sitting down here. Maybe we will get some buffs.
He's in the bin.
Yep, maybe he'll get some buffs after. Last assassin on the list, Tsukuyomi. What do you have? Any thoughts about this guy?
He's hard. I think that's maybe the best way I could say it is he's hard.
He's hard.
He's maybe upgraded Thor. You do want to be hitting everything on him. Of course. But if you do miss something, if you miss your one, if you miss your maybe one of your ultimates or 2 of your ults, or maybe you're not the best caltrops in the world, it's fine. You'll still do a lot of damage.
More forgiving than Thor, for sure.
Defensive things available. You're not using your mobility to go in all the time. Sometimes you can 2 away. Sometimes you can just use your 1 movement speed to get away. So he's not, and he has a lot of range, which I think keeps him safe a lot of the time. And you go Beads Aegis on him. So he's kind of a safer, more consistent Thor, I'd say, where you want to be hitting everything, but he's, I'd say a safe, I'm going to say B.
Okay.
Because you do have to play him well to get up there. But if you master him, he can look like an A or S tier jungler if you're hitting everything and your positioning's perfect. And all the buffs to the items have made him a lot better. So. All
right, so Tsukuyomi sitting there comfortably in B. We did talk about this before. I wanted to make sure we got a few of those warriors that were still pretty solid in the jungle, being like Osiris, Erlong, and let's do also the Gilgamesh. Those 3 have been seen from time and time again. Let's start with the Erlong shun. I think Erlong's still getting picked every once in a while. Do you think Erlong deserves to be a jungler? Do you think he's still good in the jungle?
Fair warning, there's going to be some propaganda.
Yeah, there is some bias here. I'm aware of that.
There's propaganda. I think Erlang is a D-tier character.
Okay.
He has been nerfed something like 5-6 times. I think aggro doesn't like me. He has something personal against me.
There's nothing to do with the kit. It's just all about you.
Keeps trying to put him into solo lane, and that's just not what Erlang is. He's
right.
a jungler. They can just change him into an assassin, just call him a jungler now. But he's received so many nerfs. Stone cutting, golden blade nerfs. They've nerfed almost everything about him. They've nerfed his 3 a million times. They've nerfed his 2 a couple times. His 2 DR is the problem because they made roots DR.
Yep.
So I'd say if you're not an absolute expert on this character and can make something happen in the first 5 minutes of the game, you're kind of just playing a terrible Nemesis. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend him to anyone.
All right, so Erlong in the bin there with Thor,
He's
a little bit above Arachne, and it's close. What about Osiris? We'll do Gilgamesh actually. What about Gilgamesh? Gilgamesh ran the meta for a bit.
Gilgamesh is one of the most fun characters on this entire list.
Oh yeah.
And I think anyone who's played a lot of Gilgamesh can agree with that.
Just because of his 2.
He's really, I think the first year he was released, maybe the first 6 months he was released, he was fundamentally broken, especially in competitive where his entire kit had too much utility.
Right.
And he received something like 8 nerfs, just a nerf every patch. I'd say I'd put him in D. Everything feels like it heals people. He hits jungle for like 50 an auto. His spells don't clear anymore. His drop kick doesn't do burst damage anymore. It feels like it. Sometimes it takes DPS from you over like maybe winning. He's really weak now, and I think 9.5 only made him worse with there not being enough. He doesn't have anything to burst people, and he's got a very long ult cooldown, which just makes him even less fun to play. He is fun to play, but he is just a bad character right now, hoping for small buffs in the future.
Would you ever, you're still matching the 2, right?
No,
you're back
to I'd say you get Jotuns and you max the 1 because the 1 goes down on cooldown. You can put a couple points in the 2 if you just want it to feel something anymore.
But it still doesn't, even if you put points in the 2.
You can max it all the way, and then the one time someone beats it, then it's going to feel absolutely terrible that your 1 now does 50 damage.
Yep.
So I'd max the 1, I'd go for a full pen build, but it's not going to feel good.
Okay. All right. What about Osiris, though? You're telling me the Golden Blade's out. That sort of was Osiris' bread and butter for a bit. Do you think he's got any viability with the the reigning champs of the jungle?
I'd say his one maybe saving grace is that you can go Crusher on him first, and that got buffed 5 power. And Crusher works great with Kins because it gives it the pen to the Kins proc. So that's his saving grace. I do think he's a little better than Erlang just because he's maybe a bit tankier from his passive. And his tether is like maybe arguably one of the best skills 1 to 3 in the game, just because it just makes you that difference of 1v1ing anyone basically apart from Nemesis. So I'd say he's a happy C. He's pretty easy to play, but if you do miss 1 sickle in the 1, you kind of do the Thana thing where you want to melee range it a lot of the time or wait till people stop juking. But if you do miss that 1 sickle in a gank, then you're not going to have a good time chasing people.
Right.
But he's a bit more hard to kill, I'd say, than Erlang, who just dies to any wall or stun.
Okay, so you think just C tier?
Just C tier.
Okay.
Trash.
All right, so trash, but not quite as trash as the list goes on. We're going to do one more class, and I know that you can play plenty of different characters in the jungle, but specifically Cabrakin with Bancroft's Claw. Do you think that Cabrakin with Bancroft's Claw, that poly one-shot build, is still sick? Do you think he can jungle around? Because I had some fun with it. I think it's pretty fun.
I love it. I'm a huge poly believer. With, it's only 2 seconds cooldown now. You can often get 2 polys off in very short succession. Maybe someone ages between and your next poly's up. The other thing is I'm a huge claw believer. I think the claw is kind of a reason to play a magic god anywhere, whether it's the jungle. And I'd put him, I want to put him A. The believer in me wants to put him A, but he's so slow. He runs around There's the reason the Guardian class hasn't been played so much in other roles, apart from Solo maybe, is that their actual movement speed is just slower.
Yeah.
So if you think about the times you're getting ganked by a Pele versus the times you're getting run down by a Cabrakin, Pele's already cleared her entire jungle when she ganks you. Cabrakin's probably leaving a buff or two up to gank you. So that's the only thing to think about. And I'd put him at C, but he's kind of a potentially S-tiered jungler in the way that he kind of has more burst and more kill potential on a carry than most of the assassins on the list.
All right, so now that we've got a full look at the list, is there anything that you would like to shift or change, or you think this is a pretty good demonstration of, the ranked jungle tier list?
No, I think I'm pretty happy. I could see Merc put up to B, and I could see Daji put up to A, maybe.
Do you want me to do that, or are you just thinking it?
I could see it. Maybe Daji up to A.
All right.
Just in hindsight, since
All
she was early on. She is a little too safe and too benefited from the recent buffs to maces to really have her any lower. Though the Bumbers did get nerfed for her to kind of Bumbers abuse back to her ultimate cooldown.
All right, so that's the final list there. And again, you can play pretty much every character in the jungle vibe. We're not going to do a list of all of them. This is just the cream of the crop at the moment. If you think there's anything wrong with this, make sure you screenshot it, tweet it at us. We'll tell you why you're wrong. Twig, thank you so much for stopping by and making this tier list with me. And I've been told that's good enough to end the day. So thank you all for watching at home. We're going to get out of here.
Hey, wait, what did it win?
You win the respect.
You're telling me an alien wore this?
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, that was a good cut.
Messaging him to mute.
The best graphics you really need, Ultra, of course, and I can probably watch a stream on the side.
Content's gonna look good.
Pretty good.